Welcome to the Magic Genie video, the first in the Going Deeper into the Spiritual Teaching for Modern Times series that's available through my website. This segment, like all of the segments that will follow it in this series, are what I call non-linear. What that means is one does not build on another, cumulatively pointing towards a particular conclusion, telling a story that's unfolding sequentially and in a linear way. They're just different ways of coming at the truth with a capital T, as opposed to lies, illusions, and stories. But they're all designed to be self-contained, or what I call non-linear. I call this the Magic Genie video because we're going to play a little game here together. And so I'm going to ask you to play with me. Not just listen to what I'm saying, but actually consider the questions that I ask you, go where I invite you to go, look where I invite you to look, so that this can become an experience for you, not just an idea or a concept that gets stored but doesn't really have any impact. So imagine for a moment that I'm a magic genie and I have appeared in your life, and I won't just give you 3 wishes, I'll give you as many wishes as you want. And there's only a couple of provisos, requirements. One is each wish has to be for just one thing. You can't say, I just want everything in my life to be perfect. That's a ridiculous wish anyway, but it's a global kind of a big general thing. Has to be about one thing. So you can wish for one particular thing that I call change, fix, or improve your life, one thing at a time. And that's really the only requirement, one thing at a time. So what do you want? In that scenario, here's what it is likely would happen, exactly the way that I'm going to describe it here, or something like it. When that genie appeared in your life, you would have already had a big list of things that you want to change, fix, or improve. You want more money, you want a better job, you want to be in a relationship because you're alone, you want to improve the relationship you're in, you want an advancement in your career, you want this, you want that. Big list. We all have them. Big list of things you want to change, fix, or improve. So the minute this genie showed up, you would start working your way down the list. And however you'd prioritize it, however you'd move through the list, you'd move through the list. And then something very interesting would happen. At some point, different lengths of time, different numbers of wishes with the genie for different people, but at some point, everybody would reach the point where the list is exhausted. There's nothing else on the list that you want to change, fix, or improve. This list has been, swirling around in your mind, so to speak, forever. I don't have this, I want it. I have this, I want more of it. I want this bad thing to go away, whatever. It's been swirling. The desire to change, fix, and improve these things has taken up so much time, money, energy, and focus that it hasn't ever really been looked at that closely. It hasn't ever really been examined. We never really know how big this list is, but at some point it would be exhausted. All this stuff that would be swirling is gone because you've asked for all these things and the genie has granted them. So money's not an issue anymore, and whatever it is that you want to have happening in this or that change, fix, or improvement has happened. And then you'd reach this point where there would be nothing else on your list. And then what would happen is your focus would shift. Instead of the focus always being on the specific, what I call storyline details that have been unfolding in your own unique story, and wanting to change, fix, and improve this gigantic list generally, all of a sudden your focus would shift to, what do I really want to do? What would really be fun for me? What would I really, what I call, want to play with, explore, or how would I like to express myself creatively? However you want to language it, that's the space your life would move into. All these other things have been handled, and you'd now move into simply making decisions and looking for ways to play, explore, express yourself creatively, do things you want to do, really have fun, really enjoy yourself. Now, the interesting thing is, when we have these long lists, they're so hypnotic, they're so mesmerizing, and each of the things on the list has a story with it. My life would be so much better because of da-da-da-da if I got this thing on the list. And my life would be so much better if I got this thing on my list, this other thing on my list, because of da-da-da-da story. Sometimes those stories end up being accurate. More often than not, from my experience on my own journey and in working with thousands of other people, it's usually not. The story isn't usually accurate. And when we really think our life would be so much better if we just changed or fixed or improved this one thing on the list, if we do change, fix, or improve the one thing on the list, our life doesn't really change. For a number of reasons. One, the thing that we thought would be so great wasn't so great when we actually experienced it. And again, the story was just inaccurate. Or it really was great, but it was really great for a very short period of time. And I'm talking seconds, minutes, you know. It could be days, weeks, or months. It could be longer, but whatever it is, when we really, 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 really want something and then we get it, the enjoyment of the getting it is very short-lived. However long it is, it's very short-lived. And there's just this, again, unexamined, hypnotic thing of my life would just be so much better. And there's an assumption it would be if I really got that. Now, beneath all of that, there's something really fascinating going on. There's what I call a secret desire that's hidden from view because of the hypnotic effect of the list and all the things that we want to change, fix, and improve, and all the time, energy, and effort we spend trying to change, fix, and improve. There's this one little thing, this one little desire that's underneath all of it, that's behind the scenes of all of it, and that's ultimately driving all of it. Because deep down, we think if I get this particular thing that's on my list, then I'll be able to have what I'm secretly desiring. If I get this thing, and there's just, again, it's unexamined, it's not thought through, it's not really looked at, but there's this secret desire that's behind what we think would happen if we got these things on our list. What's the secret desire? The secret desire is what I call to just be. To be able to be who you are in all your magnificent uniqueness. To be able to say what you want and do what you want without fear of consequence, without there being a problem, without there being a backlash or there being fear of it, without self-editing, putting yourself in a box, saying and doing things you don't really want to do because of fear of what somebody else will say or do or the consequences. And being able to what I call play, explore, and express yourself creatively without limits. I call that living in creative ecstasy. This to me is the secret desire that all of us have. It's what all of us really want at the most deep and profound, or whatever you want to call it, primal level, is to get out of this box, to get out of the self-editing, the limits and the restrictions, and just to be able to be in all of the things that ripple out from that particular thing. And again, we think, if we think, what's in there somewhere is, if I can just get all these things on my list, I'll end up in that place. Except you won't. And nobody ever does. And it just doesn't work that way. The solution is not getting everything on the list. And you know this. You know this from observing other people in your life. You know this from reading the news and watching the lives of other people in the media. You know this from reading books and watching movies and TV shows and other things. We see this over and over and over and over and over again. We see people getting the things that are supposed to make their life so great and their life not being so great for whatever reason. We've seen ourselves really want something badly and getting it and having there be an emptiness of it. On some level, there's a knowing that you can't get there from here, that pursuing the list isn't really going to make your life any better. But we still, for reasons that I can explain to you, build our lists, add to the list when things get taken off of it, and continue to put most of our time, money, and energy on getting these things that are on our lists. There's an opportunity to take a different path. There's an opportunity to take a different path that actually does take you into that place where you can just be. Where you can say what you want, you can do what you want, you can have the opportunity to freely play, explore, and express yourself creatively in the way that you want to. Not as some bullshit theoretical, not as some dangling of some sexy idea that's, pie in the sky, never going to happen, but very practical, nuts and bolts, kind of a path and way to get there, to get into that exact space. That's what I discovered. That's what the teachings are all about. That's what I refer to as a spiritual teaching for modern times. the path into that place and out of the hamster wheel, the dog on the track forever chasing the rabbit and never catching it, that's at the core of this whole let me get the stuff that's on my list.